at the very least, you at least want to allow yourself to feel very uncomfortable emotions without analysis and just give them enough space to be felt and experienced. But yeah, perhaps even further than that, maybe they deserve a little bit of your time as well, where you actually entertain them somewhat and are just like, okay, this is a day for some of the unwanted feelings. And we just go
Yeah.
through it and we just kind of explore that and give that a moment of time and but not too much. And then back
Right.
to the rest afterwards.
Yeah, you gotta like let the emotions come through. Like let the depression happen for a little bit, but just don't get stuck there.
Yeah. Well, I think some definitions of depression are just that it's an ongoing state of affairs. So like you can
Right.
be
Well, there's like capital D depression, and then there's lowercase depressions.
okay. Yeah.
Depressions, plural, are something that's perfectly natural.
All right. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
let's have a few depressions, but not the
for
big.
sure. Right. You don't want to get stuck in that multi-month. If it's over a month, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah. You require a pretty big shift at that point. Time to
I
get
remember,
time to
I
get
remember.
those paddles that they jolt people back to life with.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's true, man. I work with some people who come to the bike park and they have like depression. Like I can tell, like they're just so low energy and they can barely ride a bike, and it's just like it's like there's no electricity flowing down their spine or in their
Mhm.
body, and it's like
Mhm.
it's so hard. But I try and tell them like you're on the path, keep going. Like this is only gonna get easier. Like it's all downhill from here. Like we're at a bike park with a chairlift.
Mhm.
We're gonna go up, it'll be downhill. Kind of what we were just talking about. Like you really have to like overcome this resistance and say like, all right, I've had 2 weeks of downtime. Enough's enough. No more excuses. Like I'm getting back to like being alive.
Mm.
And one of the things that she said was like, I have like a sprained wrist, so I can't do yoga. And I'm like, no, that is an excuse. Like, you,
Yoga is not something that just happens on the mat, by the way.
right?
It's like,
So,
a lot of people have, that excuse. Either it's like, I can't do yoga because wrist. I can't do
right.
exercise because knee or whatever. And it's
If they
like,
recorded
sure.
themselves saying that and then like listen to it, it's like they would see like, oh, these are just excuses. But it's hard. Like when the excuses are in your head, they're so
Mhm.
convincing.
Yeah. Well,
It's
you are
so
the most convincing person to yourself.
right.
That is just the truth.
I was the
Don't.
only person who stepped up to tell her these are excuses. You know, you need to kind of stop doing
Yeah.
that.
I think it's so worth noticing that we are always, every one of us, engaged in a dialogue with ourselves, and we don't always notice that
Yeah.
there's two people speaking there, and there's going to be the us that responds, and then the us that suggests the next action. Maybe that's overly simplistic, but there is, that's why like pep talks to yourself work,
Mm.
because if you're pep talking yourself, you're getting yourself ready to do something, and whether you think you are or not, a lot of people are giving themselves an anti pep talk all the time.
Awesome. Yeah, I love I love this idea of like attunement that I was learning about the other day. It was like humans like kind of feed off each other's energy in a way, and like um, life's like life's not going to be great if you don't have anybody else's like energy. Like if you're not feeding off of other people around you, and
Mm.
yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that like humans will always serve one another. Like robots really can't replace us because humans can really only feed off like other humans for the most part, and maybe like other organic biological life, like maybe we can like feed off like our dog's energy, something like that, but really I think you need like a human to really tune into their frequency. It just makes it so
Mm.
much easier. So yeah, I think that's like one of the values that we like a leader provides is like they set the frequency for other people to tune into.
Mm. That is very well put. Yeah.
Like I mean stuff like this podcast, like this is like something that I get excited for, and you know okay, there's a lot of podcasts out there, but let's see where this goes. And
Yeah, it can go anywhere. And
yeah,
it
I
feels
love it.
really good to be having these conversations. And I hopefully it feels good for people listening to it too. But I know just as we're talking, and I know it's happening to me and I see it happening through you, just kind of this expression of life. And it's like, oh, right, I'm excited about this. Like, this is good information. And
Right.
I didn't even necessarily know this information before it's coming out of my mouth. And now we all know it together. But it's like, it's fun to be in that creative process.
Yeah, you're creating something. I really think creation, at least for me, is like the backbone of like my existence. And
Mm.
like I encourage everyone to start a podcast. Like there's I'm not worried about competitors or there's too many podcasts. Like everyone's gonna get something out of this. And yeah, do it. Let's go
Yeah,
start
do
a
it. And yeah,
podcast. It's so meta when you start thinking about it, like, okay, you can change yourself. We know that. Okay, now who do you want to be? And it's like, if you're kind of a different person every day, which which version of you gets to decide who you want to be in the future?
mm.
So you kind of have to almost like take a vote. Like,
Yeah, you got to keep coming back to that decision. You got
right,
to pull the various parts of you. And that's actually partly why it's so valuable to do things like setting your intentions from stillness after a morning practice,
right,
after you do the Kundalini, after you do like whatever the breath work is, you clear the junk out. So there's not just some expression of you, it's the stillness that resides behind it all. And then you're making decisions from that place. And then you're like, okay, this feels more valid than before. Maybe not, maybe it's still not 100% of you, but it's probably like a greater percentage of you, the authentic you, than just whatever you happen to wake up as that day.